Welcome back. Farm Rescue helps many families facing adversity tend to their fields, but the helpers need help too. Haley Burchett tells us how a donation this week will aid Farm Rescue in its efforts.
As spring planting continues, Farm Rescue has been busy coming to the aid of families in crisis across the state. Most recently, they helped the Sletto family farm in Willow City in their time of need. Farm Rescue relies on sponsorships and donations from organizations like Hess, who have partnered with them for the past 5 years. Earlier this week, Hess committed $50,000 to the organization for farming equipment, and Hess North Dakota General Manager says they recognize the role agriculture plays in all parts of life in our state. He says when the family farm fails, the entire community suffers.
One of our missions within Hess is to be the most trusted energy partner we can in the communities wherever we live and work. And, we're committed to that high level standard of corporate citizenship and creating that long lasting positive impact.
Hess has donated $250,000 to Farm Rescue over the past 5 years. This year's money will go to a John Deere 8R410 tractor used to pull a row crop planter. Since 2006, Farm Rescue has stepped in to help roughly 1,000 families with their fields.